Hello and welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint Show. I am your host, Jay Jones. Black Entrepreneur Blueprint was created specifically to educate and inspire Black entrepreneurs to launch, build, and grow successful businesses. Join us as we help build an economic power base in the Black community by promoting business ownership. If you are currently an entrepreneur or want to be an entrepreneur, we invite you to join us every week here at Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, episode number 323. I'm your host, Jay Jones, and today we have another outstanding and informative show in store for you. Today we're going to be speaking with Mr. Emir Horton, the founder of EarthaWatches.com. Emir has an amazing story of perseverance and commitment as he moved from Philadelphia to Los Angeles, trying to make it in the entertainment business, went homeless during a period of time, and started his new fledgling watch company, EarthaWatches.com. This story is a testament to commitment and sacrifice and doing whatever it takes to be a successful entrepreneur. Now, before we get to today's show, I just want to share a few things with the BEB family. First and foremost, I want to welcome all first-time listeners to Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Welcome to the BEB family. Please stick around until the end of today's show, and I'm going to share all my social media contact information and my free resource links, such as the link to my new book, A New Black Wall Street, Circulating the Black Dollar Worldwide by Building Successful E-Commerce Businesses, and 2 platforms I've created to help circulate black dollars in the worldwide black economy, BeSmartByBlack.com and HireBlackFreelancers.com. Also, if you want to watch the interview, this interview is done via Zoom, so you can either listen to it via the podcast or go to the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint YouTube channel and watch the interview live. I also want to share some exciting information about a new project that I have in partnership with Himalaya Learning. I've created a new audio pod course titled The Blueprint, Pinpoint and Monetize Your Genius, which can be found exclusively on Himalaya Learning. So just go to www.himalaya.com/blueprint and use the coupon code Blueprint and get 14 days free on the Himalaya Learning platform. Now, the platform also has courses by such noted people as Malcolm Gladwell, Tim Ferriss, Seth Godin, Linda Hill, and many, many more. So make sure you get free 14-day access to the Blueprint. Just go to www.himalaya.com/blueprint and use the coupon code Blueprint. Before we jump into the interview, I just want to do something that I've never done before on the show. I want to dedicate this episode to one of my best friends, Dr. Anthony Rivers, who suddenly passed last week. And we just had the funeral yesterday. And it's really touched me because we were friends since high school, always been close, more like brothers more than friends. And I always called him a man of excellence. Everything that he did, he poured everything that he had into that in terms of his work, his business, and most of all, his family and community service. One of the things we always talked about was giving back. How can we serve others? And I just want to tell my brother, rest in power, man. I'm going to miss you, but your work continues. Are live with Mr. Emir Horton, the founder of Eartha Watch Company. Brother Emir, how are you this morning?
I'm good, bro. Good morning.
Good, man. Hey, man, you have a pretty interesting story that I definitely wanted to share with the BEB family. So for my listeners who aren't familiar with you, tell us a little bit about who you are, a little bit about your background, then we'll get into your entrepreneurial journey.
Sure. Yeah, again, my name is Emir Horton. I was born and raised in Philly. 25 years old, the youngest Black man to own a watch business right now. Aside from my entrepreneurial journey, I'm also an actor. and a producer in the entertainment industry. So right now I live in Los Angeles. Been living here for 2 years. Um, been wanting to pursue this dream and this career since I was 15 years old. Never had a mentor or someone to show me the ropes on how to secure this opportunity. So when I was, growing up in Philly, I didn't think it was possible because I didn't see no one. I saw people doing it on TV, but I'm like, what are the odds of me actually becoming that person who I see on TV, like Will Smith? Because I don't have the people around me. I don't have no mentor. I have cousins in the industry, but they were like long distance cousins. So I brushed it off. I went to Delaware State University to still try to figure it out, where I majored in mass communications with a concentration in television, radio, and film. Um, the most of my background while I was in college was like news anchoring and hosting and like the journalism stuff. So that's also a part of my entertainment experience. But I always knew I wanted to be an actor and producer in television. So right after I graduated college in 2018, I moved here to LA and have been, securing bags and figuring it out.
That's what's up, man. So it's very interesting because a lot of people have those type of dreams, but they never act on them. What do you think it was that made you actually just pack up and go out to LA? And did you have any people there, or you just said the heck with it, I'm just gonna rock with it and make it happen? So
There
how did
were
that mental conversation go, man, in your head?
Yeah, it was a few things that made me make my decision. One, when I first had the dream or the idea to become an actor, I brushed it off because again, I didn't think it was possible. And it wasn't until my grandmother took me to church and a prophet called me up to the front of the church. And I thought she called me up to the front of the church because I was sleeping. But but nah, she called me up to the front of the church because she had a word for me. And that word was that I'm going to be soaring at this acting thing. And at the time, I had an American Eagle sweatshirt on, and she was referring to that eagle on my sweatshirt and just kept saying that you're going to be soaring as an actor. And I never had a conversation with this woman, never
Wow.
told her anything about it, about becoming an actor. And from that moment, I'm like, okay, this is God telling me that this is what I'm supposed to do. And it's funny, I was just having that conversation with my grandmother yesterday, and was telling her like, if it wasn't for that moment, I would have gave up a long time ago.
Wow.
I would have
Wow.
gave up a long time ago because it just solidified like, yeah, if God is saying this, and I never met this woman a day in my life, we
Hmm.
just got to figure this thing out.
Yeah.
So when I was in college, I had an internship. I always wanted to come to LA, and I used internships in college as an avenue to get me here. So my senior year in the summer, I landed an internship at the NFL Network out
Mhm.
here, and that was my first time, being exposed to the LA life, Hollywood, and all that. And I'm like, yeah, this city is exactly what I thought it was going to be. When I
Mhm.
graduate college, I need to come out here. But my whole thing was I wasn't coming out here without a job.
Right.
And when I was with the NFL Network, they were on me like, apply for this production assistant position, keep in
Mm.
contact with us, and we'll get you an interview. And they followed through on their word, and we're very tight still to this day. But when
Mhm.
I got that interview, I didn't get the job,
Okay.
and I had a decision to make. I'm like, okay, well, I didn't want to work in sports journalism anyway, but that was
Right.
just the way to get me here. But
Mm.
now that plan is completely out the window because I didn't get the job. So now what I'm going to do?
Right.
And sick of being in Philly, sleeping on my mom's couch in Frankfurt,
Mm.
uh, just feeling like a failure. I'm like, I got this whole degree, all
Mm.
this experience, can't get a job. I applied for a job in Philly at Fox 29 News where I interned at. They didn't even give me an interview. I'm
Wow.
like, yo, how is it that all these places I'm interning at are not hiring? I was
Right.
like, y'all know who I am. And, I understand now is because if I would have got the job at Fox, I probably would have still been in Philly
Right.
and I would have got comfortable with the money.
Hmm.
And the NFL Network was that's just wasn't where I was supposed to be.
Right.
So after Fox denied me for an interview, I had another opportunity to have an interview at a production company out here, but they were like
Mhm.
because I wasn't in LA, they didn't interview me. So
Wow.
that was the icing on the cake for me, where I decided, I got this $1,000 refund check that I got from Dell State. I was saving it to move here, and I
Hmm.
said, you know what, this is enough money that will last me at least a month in
Right.
LA. So let me use this money, book an Airbnb for a month, and I'm gonna give myself month to find a job and find a roommate somewhere to live stable.
Right.
My plan was to find a job in retail because I've been working since 16. But
Mm-hmm.
the plan went completely left in the way that I could have never imagined when I moved here, and I ended up getting a job in 3 days at Warner Brothers.
Wow.
And if it wasn't for the frustration and just taking a bet on myself, I wouldn't still be in this city. So that's kind of how I transitioned. I didn't know it. I had maybe about uh one. I knew one close person who
Mm-hmm.
was here, but we weren't. I couldn't be like, yo, can I come stay at your place?
Right.
Until
Right.
I figured it wasn't like that type of situation.
Yeah.
So, I had a small network of people, professionals, industry professionals, but it was the same thing with them too. Like, I can't just ask them to come stay at their place
Right.
until I figure it out. So,
Yeah.
I was homeless for my first couple of months here too.
That's what's up, man. So I want the light bulb to go off on the BEB family right now. This is a young brother that moved out and bet on himself and is now in the beginning stages of creating or turning into something great. I can see it in you, man.
Thank you.
And that type of determination, that's what it takes to be successful. So a lot of times it's hard for people to jump out without that net. And, because everybody's always, they're cautious most times as opposed to going after things. And I get it. Sometimes you have to be cautious, but you're single, you don't have any kids, so it's just you. So if you got to eat peanut butter and jelly for a month, you can do that.
Right.
Trust me,
Yeah.
I've been there. You know what I mean? So let's transition right now because you're the founder of Eartha Watch Company. And I want to understand the thought process because we know what your goal is, obviously, to be an actor and producer. Tell us about Eartha Watches, how that kind of came to pass, and what's the meaning behind the company? What does your company stand for? So tell us
Okay.
first, how did that come to pass with Eartha?
So I've always been into watches since I was a teenager. Probably around the same time, I would say, when I wanted to do this acting thing.
Okay.
My mom bought me my first watch. I believe it was a Fossil watch, and she said two things a man should always have is a watch and a wallet. And so, as a teenager, that boosted my ego up a little bit, made my head big. So I always wore a watch. I had a
Right.
wallet, but it wasn't no money in it. But,
Right.
I always had a wallet. A watch on. And
Mhm.
at the time, I was into G-Shock watches because
Yeah.
their faces were so big.
Mm-hmm.
And as I've gotten older, I always had wore a big face watch. And because of my acting pursuit, I always had dreams of like partnering with Rolex or AP and design like an Emir collection or something for their brand.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until being in this LA struggle where I realized I can't solely depend on the entertainment industry to pay my bills.
Right.
I need another source of revenue. So I started thinking about all the things I'm interested in, all the skills that I have, and watches came to mind. And I said, instead of using my vision and my creativity to make somebody else rich, let me
Right.
just build my own luxury brand. So that's what I did. And that's how Eartha got here. And that idea came to me in March of last year. So it's been 18 months
18.
building, and now we're finally launching.
That's what's up, man. So the name, a name is big when you build brands. Tell us how you came upon the name, and does it have any specific meaning for you?
Yeah, it's a very specific meaning. The name Eartha is actually my grandmother's name. She's still alive, thank God. And it was the first name that came to my head. When I started to think about names, Eartha immediately dropped in me. I thought it sound cool. Like if someone asks like what kind of watch is that, they say, oh, this is an Eartha watch. I thought it was different,
Right.
unique. But most importantly, I wanted this business to be more of like a family type of thing
Okay.
and have a meaning of the importance of having leaving an inheritance for your family. So that's why I named it Eartha. My grandma is the go-to person. She's a praying grandmother. She's my backbone, one of my best friends in the world. And so, when I asked her, I said, "Can I name the business after you?" She said, "Yeah, sure." And I was like, it was one point where, I kind of wanted her to be the face of the brand a little bit, but she was like, no, like this is yours. You go ahead and take on with it. And so that's how I came up with the name.
That's what's up. Now you have an interesting tagline too, connecting
Mhm.
time to the
To
mission.
the mission.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about that and how that plays into your brand strategy.
Yeah. So with me, when I was developing this brand, I had to understand like what was the why behind why I was creating this business. Yes, it was to create another source of revenue, but
Right,
it was a lot deeper than that. What I've realized being here in LA is that I needed to be more strategic with my time, to
right.
connect my time to my mission. My
Mm,
mission is to be successful and to accomplish a lot of things, leave a legacy, become wealthy, financially free. That is my mission. In
mm,
order to do that, I have to strategize my time. And what I've realized also, time is very broad. Like
right.
we often think of time as like the clock, but yeah, it can relate to the clock, but it also relates to patience. It also relates to being disciplined. All
Mm,
these things that we have to endure and persevere and overcome in order to get our dreams, in order to chase our goals. And the mission can be whatever it is.
right.
Whether if you want to buy a house, whether you want to become the world's famous movie star, build your credit score to 800, whatever that mission is,
Right.
I want Eartha to be able to support you by allowing you to understand how to navigate time in order to get to it. And we use style to do that as well, to inspire and empower.
That yeah, that makes a lot of sense, man. It's funny because a lot of times people don't really give the understanding. A lot of people create brands, right? Let me roll that back. A lot of people create brands, but I always tell people that there should be a message to the brand. What does the brand stand for? And to be able to connect it to time, it's very important. Like you said, we have a finite amount of time in each day, and connecting time to the mission. And it's funny, it's almost like we're all running a race, and it's a race against time. So how do
Right,
you
right.
utilize your time? How do you leverage your time? So, man, this looks like this could be some type of lifestyle brand in the future, man. What thinking
Yeah.
about expanding on it?
My vision is to get it to a Rolex
There you go.
level.
That's
Yeah,
what's up.
that is my vision for it. We're I call it an affordable luxury watch brand. I never even called my brand luxury.
Mm,
Where blogs and magazines and publications, they were calling it luxury, and
that's
I'm
what's
like,
up.
okay, well maybe was I sleeping on the business a little bit, because
Right.
so now my whole perspective on how I look at my brand and the potential that it has changed
Mm.
within this last month, honestly, when I started to get more publicity and stuff like that. But yeah, ultimately it's to be a luxury watch brand.
Yeah,
But right now I want it to be an affordable luxury watch brand.
that makes sense. I was just having a conversation with a couple of my buddies yesterday. So I'm creating another brand, another product brand, which is going to be in the luxury or quote unquote high end area. So I'm just doing a little research, and I happen to come across this YouTube video. It's about 12 to 15 minutes long, and I want the BEB family to pay attention to this because if you're creating a luxury brand, a lot of it, or the majority of it, is perception, how that product or service, whatever you're selling, is perceived. So there was I don't know where this was, but they took a Payless shoe store in a mall, and what they did is they rebranded it and they called it Palessi. I think it was Palessi, and they kind of pretended it was a designer, high-end designer shoe store. They put Greek statues in there, and all the salespeople wore like chic, black outfits and stuff like that. They changed the names on the shoe boxes, and the same shoes that you would buy in Payless, they were selling them for 500, 800, 900, $1,500, right? And so what they were doing while they were filming this, they were showing the sales reps talking to the people and explaining things. And so when the people came up to the counter, and all of this was being, secretly recorded, they asked them, "Well, why'd you buy this shoe?" And one lady was saying, "Oh, the contour and the structure of the shoe, the craftsmanship, blah 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 blah." And so the guy finally said, he said, "This is actually a Payless store that we rebranded, and those are 1999 Payless shoes." And the lady was like, "Oh, are you kidding me?" And everybody that came up, they finally divulged that information, and they asked them, "Why did you buy the shoes, and why did you think it held that value?" And they said, "Well, because of the way the store looked, the way the sales reps talked to me, and the perception that we got." So what they said was, "Look, we're going to refund your charge on your credit cards, but you can keep the shoes." But it just goes to show you, when you're building any type of brand, your perception has to be aligned with whatever you want your product to be. And so with saying that, as a high-end luxury brand or whatever, if anybody's looking to create that, make sure everything is aligned, because it's not all, but the majority of it is perception. So what makes Louboutin with the red bottoms any better than any other shoe out there? You know what I mean?
Right.
And a lot of times when you're dealing with high end, a lot of times it's exclusivity or ego. So another example is, if you got American Express Black Card. Now I got to pay a couple $100 a year just so I can charge and pay you interest too. But it's an ego thing. It's a status thing. So, man, you might want to have some limited edition collections in the future, man.
That's definitely in the pipeline.
Yeah.
I have an idea that I want to do for a limited edition.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, that's very important, because we put luxury all the way up here. You got to spend thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars for it to be quote unquote luxury. And that's what I've realized. Like, luxury, when I looked up the definition of luxury, it didn't say really anything about money.
Right.
It just says something of like high value.
Exactly.
So, that's very important.
Yeah. Now, you just said something that my ears always perk up. You said money just now, right? So my question to you is, you're going out to LA from Philly, right? You don't really have any contacts. You're out there betting on yourself. How were you able to finance your watch business?
A lot of not eating. Yeah, a lot of not eating. A lot of sacrificing. And I'll be honest, like, if it wasn't for COVID and them PUA checks, I wouldn't be. That's just how I don't even, I'm very transparent about the journey. I was broke. I didn't have any money. COVID happened, and I found out how much I can get paid from these unemployment checks, and I use that money to invest it in my business and build my brand. And I have no shame in saying it. So, for the most part, that's how I got it. But prior to that, I did a soft launch in February of the business to see how people would respond to my designs, and I also gave them the opportunity to do pre-orders. So I got a few $100. Well, I reached my pre-sales goal, which was $1,000. Exceeded over that, and used that money also to get my first collection started and to get marketing and all that stuff going. So that's kind of but that took 18 months.
Right.
18 months of developing the business, and then rebranding the foundation, rebuilding the foundation of the business, doing the pre-orders, trying to get a manufacturer and get samples and all of that. And, finding the samples for the manufacturer, that requires money too.
Yeah.
So, it was a lot of sacrificing and decision making that I had to go through in order to get everything started.
Yeah. See, that's something too I want the BEB family to pay attention to. So like they say, anything worthwhile, it's going to take effort, and it's going to be a challenge. So you believed in that so much that you sacrificed your food, and you were able to pull it all together. And it was a smart move to do those pre-orders too. So that way you can start getting cash to build up for your initial order that's coming in, man. I wanted to ask you next, in terms of your customer, who do you think is your ideal customer? What does that customer look like? And
my ideal
men's and women's watches?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we have men's and women. My ideal customer is the overachiever. The overachiever, the go-getter, the one who is about their business, and the one who just always striving to reach their highest potential.
Cool.
So if you have those attributes, you are who I'm targeting.
That's what's up. Now, what do you think in terms of, you had mentioned that you had some write-ups in all magazines and things. What do you think was the impetus for people to reach out to you, just since you just started this watch company? Why are they going to Eartha Watch Company and Emir Horton? And why do people think, or why did the publicists think that that was news for them, in terms of what do you think attracted them to write about you?
I think it's the homelessness story, which is what I'm really pushing out, and just not just the homelessness, but my entire story up to this point at 25 years old.
Right.
But in particularly the homelessness story, because if I wasn't homeless out here in LA, I wouldn't have launched a business.
Right.
The thought, I had found some stability when the idea of launching a company first came to me. I had some housing stability, but I had a thought of going back to that place when I was sitting on the curb with nowhere to go, with all of my suitcases and duffel bags, and just in a completely dark space. I was reliving that moment, and I'm like, I need to do something that's going to help me not be in that place again.
Yeah.
So I've been sharing that homelessness story and how I overcame it. And I think also what people are interested in and love to see and learn more about is that I'm the youngest Black man in the industry right now, at least from what they're seeing and what I've seen based on research.
Right.
At the time, before I came, there were only 8 Black men. Now it's 9 of us,
Okay.
and I'm the youngest at 25. So I guess that's why people are reaching out and want to hear the story about the brand.
Yeah, it's a tremendous story, man. In terms of marketing, what are some of, since your budget is limited, what are some of your ideas to market your product? And before you answer that, I just want to say this. One of the things with Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, I like to bring on people at different stages of business. So you're in the beginning stages of your business, and hopefully you won't get too big once you blow up that you won't come back on later. But
You
but
already know that I'm coming back for sure.
I know that's right. But I want people to understand that, there are different stages and phases of business. So Emir right now is in the launch, quote unquote, stage. And so I think there's a lot that you can learn from this interview, because this is a place that you currently are right now. So this is a space you're living in. And I think a lot of times, as we become more experienced entrepreneurs who've been in the game 20 years, we kind of forget what it was like when we got out there. So I'm glad that you're on, and we found each other, because I think this can really speak to people that are on the cusp of trying to start a business, and hearing something from somebody that's right there at the launch stage or the beginning stages. I think that's very important. So I'm going to jump back to the question. So what do you think, or what are your marketing ideas, since you're on a limited budget? How do you plan to get this message out, in addition to your PR that you're doing, your interviews and articles? How do you plan to market the Eartha watches?
Yeah, so I am using influence in marketing.
Okay.
I have some friends who have a great following. They're also working in the entertainment industry. So I'm using people who I know to start off with, who I know and trust, to help bring more publicity and awareness to the brand. I'm also a producer, so content marketing, shooting promos and video shoots and stuff like that.
Okay.
Paid advertisements on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest.
Okay.
I have a YouTube. We have a YouTube channel where we'll be putting out content there as well.
Cool.
And I understand that I always understood that you have to spend money in order to make money.
Right.
And I have no problem with paying an influencer and paying for these ads to bring more awareness to it, in addition to the magazines and the talk shows and the radio shows and all that.
Yeah. Nah, that's good. So I want the light bulb to go off again, BEB family. If you're talking on a limited budget, a lot of times when you have a lot of money, people tend to waste money because they have a lot of money. When you're bootstrapping and things are tight, you're going to be more strategic and intentional when you advertise and try to market your product. And I actually think if you can be successful doing that, man, the sky's the limit when you do get some monies in, to be able to scale and build your business. So I want
Yeah.
the BEB family to definitely think about that. You don't need a lot of money
Right.
to actually, launch your business. So I'm talking to one of my buddies yesterday, and he didn't know I'm launching this new hot sauce business, right? And he was like, "Man, where'd this come from?" But just like you, he didn't know that for 9 to 12 months, I've been doing the groundwork in the background. Right now it's about to come to fruition and I'm about to launch. But, just because you don't see what I'm doing in the background doesn't mean I'm not doing it. And that's like the work
Yeah.
you put in for those 18 months where you're doing the research, getting the samples and preparing. So a lot of times, guys, it's not going to happen overnight. It may look like Emir got to LA and now he got a watch brand coming out, but they didn't see the struggle and the preparation that you were doing behind the scenes. So take note of that, man. I wanted to ask you real quick, man, what motivates you to get up and do what you do every day? What's your force? What's the force behind that?
I think for me, it's my family, for one. My mission in life is to birth something new in my bloodline. Whatever it is, something that's different, something that
Mm-hmm.
we're not used to. And in order to have that, in order to do that, you need exposure. And
Exactly.
I have come to the point now where I have been exposed to way too much to give up. So I'm a person who always do deep reflecting. Like I'm always in my own thoughts and just uh, breaking down layers and try to reflect on everything. And when I feel like this is hard, I often think about all the stuff that I've already accomplished. And
Exactly.
a compliment that I always get is like, "You doing all this stuff and you're so young." And I'm like, it's good to receive that compliment, but and sometimes I often have to think about that
Yeah.
because we're always looking for the next thing.
Yeah.
So just taking the time to really reflect on all the things that you've seen, all the people that you have met, the rooms that you have been in, the experiences that you have had, that is what motivates me when I feel like I don't have it at all. Like
Yeah.
for my personal use, my Instagram, yeah, it's an inspired of other people because that's the type of content they like to see, but it's really for myself for the
Right.
most part because I get to go back and look at some experiences and stuff like that. So exposure is what motivates me, and I think a lot of people they can't accomplish what they want, especially in Philly, because they don't have that exposure. That's
Right.
why so many of my male friends, close cousins, they're either dead or in jail.
Yeah.
A lot of them wanted to be rappers. A lot of them wanted to be business owners, but they became a product of their environment simply because they didn't have the exposure.
Right.
And that's why I'm just so grateful that I have the mentality and the attitude to just go and get it. Because if I would haven't moved here, I wouldn't have been exposed to none of this stuff. And
Right.
the exposure is just everything.
Yeah. That's powerful. That's a powerful point, man. One of the things too, man, and yesterday I was on the phone a lot, man, with coaching clients and a couple of my boys, we were just talking. But one of the things and I've talked about this on the show, I always talk about building assets. So, for example, what you're doing right now, you're building an asset. Now, that asset may not pay off in a great financial way right away. So, even if it takes a year, 2, 5 years for you to really, start raking in the dough, you're building an asset today. Also, you're planting seeds for revenue tomorrow. So while you're working and honing your acting craft and you're producing, you're building a brand. And so this is what I always tell people. You got to look, God willing, you'll be here 3 years from now, 5, 10, 15 years from now. What assets are you building? What seeds are you sowing to produce income for you, not necessarily today, but in the future? And so if you create this line with this Earther Watch company and you create a lifestyle brand and you just happen to be able to be successful in the acting field, you still got something else that's growing and building. And that's how you build multiple streams of income. So guys, it doesn't have to pay off right today. What you're doing is you're building, man. And that's something that's powerful. I try to get people to understand that you got to start building today. And I was telling my buddy, like the podcast, 5.5 years later, I wasn't making money off the podcast. I still don't make money off the podcast technically, but it's building an asset, it's building a platform. So one of my buddies is a big wine connoisseur. He's really into learning about wines. And so he's getting ready to start a YouTube channel just through, with his experiences of going to wineries, talking to different people, and he's putting it on Instagram and he's getting crazy traction. And he said, I don't need the money. He said, but I know I can probably monetize it down the road. I'm doing something that I'm doing naturally. I like going to wineries. I like drinking wine. I'm learning about it. And that's building an asset that he could monetize later on down the road. So I want everybody to realize what this young brother is doing. People think he's just starting a business, but you're really building an asset that can pay you from years and even generations later. So, man, kudos to you, brother. You got you're wise beyond your years, as they say, man. And a lot of that comes from experience. And so those experiences that you have now, going out there to LA on your own, those are things that forge you, man. And so now I'm telling you, bro, your growth is going to be exponential because you took the chance, you bet on yourself. I love it, man. I could talk about that for hours, bro, because that's my space.
I want to touch on it. I want to touch on that a little bit though, because I just made a post maybe about last week that talks about that as well.
Wow.
Because people think that you only have to do one thing.
Right.
And I've been asked from small-minded people, so I didn't even spend too much time answering the question. But they were like, if you're an actor, why are you launching a watch business? And I said, well, for one, I'm not just an actor.
Right.
And then I went on to tell them about my passion. My passion is not the entertainment industry. My passion is not acting. My passion is not producing. My passion is building and creating. That is my passion. Whatever that is, that's the passion. And you don't have to limit yourself. And in my Instagram post, I said, what limitations are you putting on yourself and from others that is limiting you from tapping into gifts that God had gave you?
Exactly.
Gifts that can bring in revenue for you simply because you have this idea that you can only do one thing. And it's not like that.
Yeah, that's powerful, man. Like I said, bro, you wise beyond your years, man. It takes a lot of people a long time to understand and get that. Yeah. And I think a lot of times, man, people just end up living by default, and that's just doing what everybody else does. And a lot of people fall into that and don't even realize it, as opposed to going after and betting on themselves and trying to live their dream. And so when you get that realization, when that light bulb goes off, the younger you are, that when it goes off, the better, because you'll have more time to be able to, aspire to what God designed you to do, man. Let me ask you, bro. Tell me about one of your greatest achievements so far, and it could be with your business, Earth or Watch Company, or personally, man. What do you think one of your biggest achievements is?
It's been so. I've achieved so much, honestly. Like it's a tough question because I've done so many things that the average 25-year-old black man from Philly have not done.
Yeah.
Even raising the bar in the entertainment industry, from getting a job in 3 days on a major studio lot, that's not normal.
Right.
I received my first two credits as a producer in television, 6 months of moving here. And I wasn't out of college for a year yet. That's not normal. But above all of that, I think the greatest accomplishment is probably graduating from college.
That's what's up.
I went to Delaware State University, HBCU. I think that was the beginning of the exposure. And most importantly, I used college as a way to try to figure out how to be successful in the entertainment industry. So it's kind of like going to college was the start of everything. And if it wasn't for college, I would have still been in Philly. Lord knows what I would have been involved in, the people I would have been hanging around. So college is what saved my life.
That's what's up.
It got me out the hood and, in a better environment. And most importantly, like I said, it aligned me with where I'm at right now.
That's what's up.
I give it all to going to college.
Cool. That's man. That's powerful, man. Exposure. That's what you always talking about. That exposure. Let me ask you, man, where do you see yourself and your business in 5 years, if you can project down that far?
In 5 years, I want a flagship store in downtown Philly.
That's what's up.
I
Oh, you can't fight it. You got to come back, huh?
Well, I'm planning to buy property back home and all that stuff anyway. So,
Cool.
I'll never forget where I came from.
That's what's up.
But yeah, 5 years, I want to own a store. I want to have at least 100 collections
Cool.
within 5 years. Um, my business we also have a charity division of the business, which
Cool.
is called the Earth to Care Mission. And right now we have a partnership with the Union Rescue Mission here in LA, which it's a homeless shelter. And so every quarter of the year, a portion of our proceeds go to supporting their efforts and stuff. And we're also in development of partnering with the nonprofit in Philly, back home. So building that up to the point where I can host like an annual summit every year that connects people to their mission.
That's
Using and it doesn't even have to be watches. Of course, watches is at the forefront of our brand, but with this summit, I want it to be under the Earth to Care mission, which is our charitable division, where it's impacting lives all around the world.
Oh
So
man,
that's where I want to be in 5 years.
that's powerful, man. Hey man, you mentioned a flagship store in Philly. You don't want one on intersection of Rodeo and Sunset, man?
Nah.
All right, just check it, man. Just check
it. If it comes up later on in the future, then I might. But right now, I want Earth to really to be symbolic to my community.
Gotcha.
And Rodeo, that's not a representation of my upbringing like Philly is.
Right.
So I don't really care to have a store up there.
All right, now I like that, man. Let me ask you, bro. I'm watching. I don't know if you've been watching it, but they're doing a documentary, Master P, the No Limit documentary. I think yeah, there it is. Yeah, BET. Yeah. So I haven't watched all of them yet, but being in that entertainment space, what are your thoughts? Because a lot of times we as Black folk, it's hard for us to get acting jobs. It's hard for us to become producers, directors, and all of that. What do you feel about Master P and going, like a lot of his movies were direct to consumer? He's bypassing the movie theaters. Dame Dash is doing it with Dame Dash TV, where he's creating content and going direct to the consumer. What do you think, or how do you feel about that, and where do you see that going in the future?
I think what their message is ownership, period. That's why they're going directly to consumer, especially in Hollywood. I was just explaining to my grandmother the difference between Hollywood and Black Hollywood, and how oftentimes, when you're in Hollywood, you're making more money, your status is a lot higher.
Right.
And I think what they're trying to project is that you don't have to go through the white people in order to make money. Let's build our own stuff and let's establish our own stuff. So I think that's the message that they're trying to get across, and that's why I admire the both of them.
Yeah.
Like they really highlight the importance of ownership and having ownership, and building an empire.
Exactly.
And again, like you don't have to. Master P, he is proving that you don't have to just do movies and music. The man got oodles and noodles. He got chips. He got all types of stuff, but he's building an empire. And it's inspiring to see another Black man doing those things for people like myself who's coming up and we have those dreams to do stuff like that, but not sure how to do it, and think that we have to go through this just to get here. And it's like, nah, like you just need to educate yourself, and that's what they do. They educate us. They share their resources, and they share the blueprint to how to be successful. So I'm all for it.
Cool. That's what's up. Also, man, I just saw Master P came out with Uncle P's pancakes and pancakes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. He got sneakers too.
I know. Yeah. My Yachties, I think was
Yeah.
So, and it's all, and man, I love it, man. That's what I'm talking about. But I love that same concept of direct to consumer, where you cutting out the middleman and you're going directly And I don't know if it was Dame or if it was Master P said, I think it was Dame. Why am I going to pay a white guy to get my product to my people when I can go directly to my people? Yeah, which is great.
You gotta spend more money to use this person to get it to your consumer too. So
Right.
like, why do all that when you can just target them right on the nose?
Exactly.
And that's how, like, I'm not even big on selling my products on Amazon because of that.
Exactly.
Because like I can't control my customers off of Amazon. Amazon's controlling it. So I rather build trust by communicating directly with my consumers as opposed to having some middleman doing it on my behalf.
Exactly. It's funny because people ask me how come I don't sell my book through Amazon, and it's the same concept. Number one, Amazon, for people that don't know, if you sell FBA, fulfillment by Amazon, you're not going to get the customer's email address. So Amazon, they tell you these are our customers, we're sharing them with you. And so what happens is if you want to communicate via email, you have to use Amazon's back office, Seller Central, and it's encrypted. So you can send an email to your customer, but it's encrypted. You don't know what their email is. And so building your database and, like you said, controlling that customer experience is big. And there's a lot of big companies that are pulling off of Amazon too. I pulled one of my brands totally off of Amazon about a couple months ago just for that reason. Now, am I selling as much? No, because I don't have the Amazon exposure. But I'll trade that off, though, to be able to have or give that customer experience. And so, another thing, you sell on Amazon, people give you a bad review. If you got, and I was just telling one of my boys this yesterday, if you have anything under 4 stars on Amazon, your product sales is going to go just like this. And the actual reviews, because you can't even combat the reviews. So I've told this on the show, the podcast before. On one of my flat iron products, somebody said that I dropped the flat iron and one of the plates broke, and they gave a 1-star review. Now that has nothing to do with the functionality of the product. That would be like somebody saying, "Hey, I dropped the watch and the face broke."
Right.
And now that 1-star review obviously factors into all your other reviews. And it actually took mine down from a 4.6 to like a 4.1. And so anytime you go 4.2 or under, it'll be 4.5 stars. You hit 4.3 and over, it's 4.5 or 5. 4.3 and below, it's 4.5. It shows 4.5. Anything I think 3 or 4.0 or 3.9, it'll show 3.5 stars. So, but once you hit under 4 stars, it's a wrap. And so, so what you're doing is you're letting Amazon control what's going to really happen to your product. And I'm telling you, for that product brand, it finally got back up because I got more positive reviews. But for that time it dipped down, man, I probably lost about 65 to 70% of my revenue, my sales in that product. And for a stupid review. Another thing, just to give you a heads up too, anybody that has a product business that's based on Amazon, there are people out there that will sabotage your product. So if they don't like you, right? Or if you're a big competitor, you're taking away their market share. People actually pay people to buy your product and give you 1-star reviews. And so now you go from here to here and your product is sabotaged. So I always tell people Amazon is just a platform to sell. Your business shouldn't be based just solely on Amazon, because if it is, trust me, you're going to be in trouble eventually. So you're doing a smart thing, man. I'd rather build slow and control everything, because as you grow, you don't have to worry about that, man.
They're not going to represent my brand the way I will represent my brand.
Most definitely.
And in order to do that, you need to know how to speak to my customers, and they don't know how to do that. Much love to Amazon.
Right.
I appreciate them as a consumer, but as a business owner, they're not for me.
Yeah, that's powerful, man. We're going to close it out. And if you got a couple quick questions for you, man, tell our listeners how to connect with you, man, on social media, how to get your watches and all that good stuff, man. So, shout it out and let my peoples know, man.
Yeah, so our website is at earthofwatches.com. That's where you'll find all of our products, our mission statement, what we're about. Right now, we have two men's models. It's a black on black model, and then black and gold. They're the same model, just two different colors. And
Gotcha.
for women, we have a rose gold with a marble finish to it, and I named that Resilience. And our men's watch is called Persevere.
That's
Um, on social media, you can find us at Earth the Watch on Instagram, Facebook, and Pinterest. YouTube channel as well. And if you want to follow me personally, I'm at Mr. Horton _.
all right. So Eartha, EARTHA, right?
Yep.
All right, cool. It's earthawatches.com, right?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yep.
Last question, bro. All right. I think I might know the answer, but I might be wrong. So if you had the opportunity to talk to one person, conversation, living or dead, who would it be and why?
Lately, I've been wanting to speak to my grandfather.
Cool.
He, he died when this is my mom's father. He died when I was young. So I remember a little bit about him, but not, I would like to have a conversation with him on this level, just to see like, what was his upbringing like? What would our relationship be? I'm sure he'll be proud of me, but, but what is it? Like, what would our relationship be? Will we be close? Will we be checking in with each other all the time?
Right.
And really just to understand like what, like his headspace and get some wisdom from him that I'm sure that he had.
Right.
So yeah, I would like, as I get older, I'm becoming more big on like history and inheritance and all that stuff. Yeah. So, I would like to have a conversation with him.
That's what's up. Cool. Brother, we appreciate you, man, for sharing your journey, man. Definitely, I'm gonna get one of those watches, man. When I order, make sure I get that black on black. All right.
I got
it. So I'm definitely gonna support you. Once again, man, I appreciate your transparency and sharing with the BEB family your trials, your tribulations, and also your successes, man. And I just want everybody to know, you know how we do it here. Young brothers out here doing this thing, we gotta support them. Please go to earthawatches.com, check it out. If it's for you, go ahead and support my brother right here because he's doing great things, man. Thank you so much, Emir, for coming on, sharing your story, brother. Did I miss anything? Is there anything you want to share before we about to close out?
I would like to, I want to give a piece of advice for the new entrepreneurs, something that someone didn't tell me. I didn't have a background in business. I thought that I had to build the watch myself. I didn't know nothing about manufacturing.
Right.
I just had this idea of wanting a watch. So I'm like, okay, let's figure it out. So,
right.
But the piece of advice I want to give is don't be so fast to start a team. Take your time, be patient, learn the ins and outs of your business, of the foundation, and spend time doing every single job, because there are people who don't have your best interest.
Definitely.
And if they can't be the star of your ship and the captain of your ship, they will sink the whole entire thing.
Exactly.
And in addition to not being so fast to build a team, it gives you an opportunity to know every job, because it's like, okay, I know what it takes to get this job done. I know how long it's going to take to get this job done. So you can't give me nothing, half or what I'm asking for. Because I know I have the expectation on how to get this delivered. So I just want to leave the new business owners and entrepreneurs with that piece of advice, because I know it's overwhelming doing everything, wearing so many hats starting out, but I prefer to wear every hat as opposed to bringing somebody on board and then the entire thing is just gone.
Yeah, that's powerful.
And that's all.
Cool. I appreciate you, man. Thank you, brother. We appreciate having you on, man, sharing your story, man. Great story, and we're looking for great things for you from you in the future, bro.
Thank you.
All right, man. Make sure when you get big now, when I call you, you better pick up, all right?
Your number's saved in my phone, so I'm only a call, text away.
That's it, family. I appreciate you, man. Man, that was a powerful interview by Mr. Emir Horton, founder of Eartha Watch Company, earthawatches.com. Make sure you check it out. Now, before I give my takeaways on the interview, let me just share my social media contact information and my free entrepreneur resource links. So I mentioned at the top of the show, my new book is out, A New Black Wall Street, Circulating the Black Dollar Worldwide by Building Successful E-Commerce Businesses. So if you're interested in building a successful, sustainable e-commerce business, go to anewblackwallstreet.com. Pick yourself up a copy. The print version is $14.95 and the digital version is $9.95. Now, if you need additional assistance building that successful, sustainable e-commerce business, I've created a compatible flagship program titled Brand Builder Academy Elite, BBAelite.com, a 15-week modular program that takes you from point A to point B to building a physical products business or a digital products business. Just go to BBAelite.com, use the coupon code BBAelite100, and it's only $97, family. Pound for pound, my best course available. BBAelite.com, go to use coupon code BBAelite100, and it's only $97. Now, in addition to that, I mentioned at the top, my two platforms I've created to help stimulate and circulate black dollars in the worldwide black economy. BeSmartByBlack.com. If you are a black product producer looking to sell your products to black consumers worldwide, upload your product info. It is free to BeSmartByBlack.com. Q4 is coming up. Holiday season is out there. Make sure you upload your information. Now, I didn't forget about my freelancers. So if you do anything on Fiverr.com or freelancer.com, you can go to hireblackfreelancers.com. Once again, upload your information. It's free. And now you can connect with black consumers and black business owners that want to hire black freelancers. HIRE blackfreelancers.com. Also, all of this that I'm telling you guys, you can go to bebconnect.com, which is a page on my website, and all of this information will be there. bebconnect.com. Speaking of connecting, if you want to reach out to me, anything long, hit me on my email, jjones@blackentrepreneurblueprint.com, JAYJONES@blackentrepreneurblueprint.com. Facebook, just go type in Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Twitter, jjones001, JAYJONES001. Instagram, jjonesforreal, JAYJONES, the number 4, REAL. YouTube, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, family. I have additional content on YouTube that is not on the show. Yes, the show does come out on YouTube, but just go to YouTube, type in Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, and make sure you hit that subscribe button. Also, LinkedIn, just go look for J. Jones Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. And if you want to be included in the BEB text line for special notifications and reminders, text BEB to 555-888. That's BEB to 555-888. Once again, go to BEB Connect and all of this information will be there for you. So let's focus on a couple of takeaways from today's interview. There were tons of great things, but I'm only going to pick out a few. The first thing that I wanted to talk about was sacrifice and commitment. So when Emir went out to LA, not having any contacts, he went out there with the $1,000 he got from a tax refund, figuring that he'll be able to get some type of employment within a month. So once again, though, he didn't have any wife, no kids or anything. So when you're out there like that, you have the flexibility and the opportunity to take chances because the only person you're really going to affect is yourself. So if you're young and you don't have any ties, any kids, anything like that, that is the time to do exactly what Emir is doing. And so he was committed enough to, sacrifice in terms of not eating sometimes. And then he was even at a point where he was homeless and he still continued to push forward. So that's something that goes to say to this brother's character. Basically, he's saying, I don't care what it takes. I'm going to make it happen. And you have to have that mindset as an entrepreneur, because if you don't, then you're not going to be successful. So if you look at most of the Hollywood actors and entertainers, a lot of them went out there, and the difference between an A-list actor and somebody that's a waiter or waitress right now is the A-list actor kept pushing. They kept pushing and pushing through until it broke. And nothing happens overnight. And Emir understands that this is a long game. This is a commitment that he has to commit to to make his dreams come true. So that was powerful. So also faith. So when he got that word in church, when he was sleeping, that just confirmed to him that this is what I need to do. I need to bet on myself and follow my dreams, right? So another thing that really stood out to me was at the end of the interview, he talked about don't be so fast to start a team. Learn your own business. And that's a very true statement because you have to understand how all the components work and fit together. So when somebody comes in that you hire, you know exactly what this position entails and you know the exact productive output that should come from that position because you've already been in that position. It's almost like Hamburger U at McDonald's. So if you didn't know, if you want to be a McDonald's franchise owner, you have to go to what's called Hamburger University. And Hamburger U is where you actually work in the McDonald's in all facets so you can understand the business. So now when you start building your own stores, you know exactly how everything works. So that was a key point right there. And the last takeaway I want to highlight is when Emir said that he wanted to do something new in the family bloodline. Basically, he's talking about breaking the cycle and building for legacy, long term. That's what it's all about. It's legacy, hustling for your last name, not your first name. So building a legacy. And the only way you can do that, family, is putting the work in. So you guys know how we do. Make sure you support this young brother in his dream and in his mission. Go to eartherwatches.com. Check it out. If the watches look good and if they're for you, make sure you support this brother as he's doing some tremendous things right now. Before we close on out, I know I say this each and every week, but please continue to spread the word about Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, the podcast and the blog, because really, family, is more than that. It's a movement. We're trying to build an economic power base in the Black community. Once again, we get more and more downloads every week, which is attributed to you, the BEB family. Love you guys. See you same time next week. Peace.